तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvigrunantiye Bhuridajana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and today we have to take up the conversation of Monday, August 20, 1883. Yesterday we read the 19th and before that 18th. So these are consecutive dates. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on his bed inside the mosquito net, meditating. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening. M was sitting on the floor with his friend Hari Babu. So a new character, and he is introducing him. Hari, a young man of 28, had lost his wife about 11 years before. You can imagine in those days. At the age of 17, he has lost his wife. So when he married, 14, 15, that is not given at all. But he lost his wife at the age of 17. About 11 years before, and had not married a second time. Why he had not married the second time? He was much devoted to his parents, brothers and sisters. So maybe to take care of them, he has not married second time. Parents, brothers and sisters. So he is taking care of all of them. Hazara was living at Dakshineshwar. Rakhal lived with the master, though now and then he stayed at others' house. That means not in his house, either with Thakur or with other. Thakur told other, you take Rakhal and feed him and that will be great thing for you. Narendra, Bhavanath, Adhar, M, Ram, Manamohan and other devotees visited the master almost every week. So the names which are frequenting Thakur has been given. Manamohan and Ram were the first of Thakur's devotees. Through Manamohan came Rakha. Through Ram came Narendra. Bhavanath was a friend of Narendra. Other was a deputy magistrate. Hriday, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew, was ill in his home in the country. That we read last time. Hriday served Thakur very much and tormented him very much, and he was removed for some other fault of his. When it had become unbearable for Thakur, Providence made him do some mistake and he was removed. And in the home he was ill and he wrote a letter to Thakur. So Thakur said, who will ask somebody to send money? Who will ask big people? But this he told to Mahendranāth. So Mahendranāth would not keep quiet. He sent him money without telling the master. That is mentioning here, the master was worried about him. One of the devotees had sent him a little money, but the master did not know it. When Thakur had not told others, only M knew. So M has sent, and M did not tell Thakur about it. When Sri Ramakrishna came out of the mosquito net and sat on the small coach, the devotees saluted him. Devotees are M and Haribabu. Master. Now see his mental condition. I was meditating inside the net. It occurred to me that meditation, after all, was nothing but the imagining of a form. Upasana requires a form. And so I did not enjoy it. Why should he meditate on a form? He has already realized the real nature of Atman. One gets satisfaction if God reveals himself in a flash. So, what is that? তিনি দপ করে দেখে দেন তো হয়. That means when one has realized God, God can flash in his mind any time. And that is better than trying to form on the meditation. No, that is for him. Again I said to myself, who is it that meditates and whom does he meditate? After realizing identity with God, the meditator itself has not remained. Now, this very phrase is used very, very wrongly by what we heard in those days was people in Rishikesh. If you ask them, do you meditate or whatever, they say, kaun kiska dhyan karega? So, Advaita, unrealized people should not say like that. So long as they have not realized Advaita, you are separate from God and you are required to meditate. So in Thakur's mouth, it is sweet because Thakur has realized. Other than Thakur is God himself, Thakur has realized. And so he can say that. He has realized the identity. But without realizing the identity, this is only either deluding yourself or deluding others or both. And everybody will not get deluded. M has understood Thakur's condition. Yes, sir, you said that God himself has become everything, the universe and all living beings, even he who meditates is God. Master Masha brings from general to particular. One who has realized Advaita, he can say this is one side. But one who has realized God is everywhere also can say it. Because if God is everywhere, he is in him also. So God realizing, God meditating on God is meaningless. So Master Masha has derived it from his knowledge, which he got from Sri Ramakrishna, that God is all-pervading. So from there, he derives it for a man who has realized also is God himself. Whether realized or unrealized, he is God himself. But if one has realized God is all-pervading, automatically it means that that man also realized that he also is God. Master has accepted this. What is more, one cannot meditate unless God wills it. This is a new truth. It is an important truth. That will of God is supreme. Our all will says God has given us a little freedom of will. Ultimately, there is no freedom of will. It is his will. So, we may try to meditate, but will not succeed unless God wills it. So, Ishwar Kripa, better word is Ishwar Ichha. So, Ishwar Ichha, if it is not there, you cannot meditate, is something important to remember. Not that we should not try to meditate. It does not mean that. We should try to meditate. But we should keep in mind that Ishwar, unless he wills it, nothing will happen. We have several times referred to this fact that even a leaf of a tree does not move without God's will. One can meditate when God makes it possible for one to do so. What do you say? So he wanted to check whether Master Masha has assimilated this or not. In Gospel, many times this will come that he checks whether Master Masha has understood or not because he knows that he has to report it to the public. M. True, sir. You feel like that because there is no I in you. That means this is the truth. But you know that. Others do not know it. You know it because there is no I. So you know that God will sit to meditate. Others feel they have I, and so they cannot understand this. When there is no ego, one feels like that. So Master Macha's understanding is very good in this respect, Master. But it is good to have a trace of ego. A trace of ego. Not egotism, but a trace of ego, which makes it possible for a man to feel that he is the servant of God. So to keep up the relation with God, a little trace of ego is necessary. As long as a man thinks that it is he who is doing his duties, it is very good for him to feel that God is the master and he God's servant. So when he is doing his other works, then it should be done as a servant of God. Identity is the truth, but so long as you do not realize it, you should have ego connected with God. So that ego will help you to feel that you are God's servant. And whatever duties you are doing is God is making you do that. বোধ আছে যেখানে আমি সব কাজ করছি বোধ that is important. Let us check. As long as a man thinks, better could be as long as a man is aware, as long as a man's consciousness, as long as a man knows that he is doing his work. So to substitute, I am doing my work, God should be in place of I am the doer. I have narrated one incident to you sometimes. Let me repeat it here. In the Nagpur ashram, the new publication department was built across the public road in the next compound. And the publication already stock was there, and that stock has to be shifted there. It became like a project, and many people were engaged in that. And my Swamiji was always checking on that. So one Swami came, and my Swamiji asked him, how far is that work done? How far is the progress of that work? And that Swami replied, I have done my work. And this person who was asking so sweetly roared like a lion, scolding like, you have come, your work you have done, is it your work or Thakur's work? Now he wanted to explain something, perhaps that what was allotted to him has been finished, So he said, what I mean, my teacher did not allow him to complete that sentence even. What do you mean? You have come here to do your work or Thakur's work? You understand now? A man who is aware that he is doing his work should substitute that by telling that Thakur. Telling means thinking. Telling means to be aware of that it is Thakur. It is for all devotees in the world. I am doing is wrong. Thakur has, God has willed me to do it, is the right attitude. And that Thakur is pointing out here. So, ego is there. But ego, why ego is there? Because you are doing your work. And it has to be substituted by God is making me do this work. So, what Thakur told, that translation was wrong, I will tell you. Wrong. Otherwise, it appears some ego should be there. No. The whole thing changes on this. Whole thing changes. Why Thakur will ask people to keep ego? He is telling in this sentence that ego is already there. And it has to be substituted. So, in the beginning he is telling, Kintu ami das sevak etuku thaka bhalo. Oh. So, we have to retranslate. Trace of ego which makes it possible for a man. No. But it is good to have the attitude. Don't bring ego here at all. It is good, but it is good to have the attitude that I am God's servant. I am God's. Now in English, one word servant we know. In Bengali, I mean das, I mean seva. That means I am God's man, I am God's servant. This should be there. So for a man of knowledge, it is different. But when the awareness of I is there, it should be of the form that I am God's servant, I am God's man. So we have to change this. But it is good to have the attitude. So it is change of attitude. It is good to have the attitude for a man to feel that he is the servant of God. So this trace of ego which makes it possible, I will cancel. But it is good to have the attitude for a man to feel that he is the servant of God. As long as a man knows that it is he who is doing his duties, as long as a man thinks, feels, aware of, has the consciousness of, not things, that it is he who is doing his duties, it is very good for him to feel that God is the master and he is God's servant. Clear now? First is not to keep ego, but ego is there and it should be of the form of God is making me do. I am God's servant, that should be the form of ego. When one is conscious of doing work, one should establish with God the relationship of servant and master. Clear. In the third sentence, everything is very clear. M was always reflecting on the nature of the Supreme Brahman, because from Nirakar, and so Nirakar Nirgun. So for him, Thakur is teaching something, Master, to M, not to Hari Babu. Like the Akasha, Brahman is without any modification. Brahman, Nirguna Brahma, Akasha is the one example that Akasha does not undergo anything. Other things which live in Akasha are changing. So, with this example, like Akasha, Brahman is without any modification. It has become manifold because of Shakti. So it has the capacity to appear as having the world. And so that power is called Shakti. So it is because of Shakti that he appears as different. Again, Brahman is like fire, which itself has no color. The fire appears white if you throw a white substance into it, red if you throw a red, black if you throw a black. The three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, belong to Shakti alone, to Prakriti or to Shakti, to the manifested world. This applies. Brahman itself is beyond the three gunas. The three examples also, white, red and black, represent these three gunas. White representing Sattva, red the Rajas, black Tamas. What Brahman is cannot be described beyond speech also, beyond Indriya experience. So unless you experience, how can you describe? And you can experience in Nirvikal Samadhi. Their language itself is not there. It is beyond words. That which remains after everything is eliminated by the Vedantic process of not this, and which is of the nature of bliss is Brahman. So one thing he tells, bliss. Bliss is Brahman, but not the ordinary pleasure and pain. You remove everything, denying their existence. They are unreal. And when everything is negated, what remains is Brahman. It can never be negated. It is our real nature, which can never be really negated. It is the real nature of the world. It can never be negated. So what remains is Brahman, and it is of the nature of bliss. The nearest description I would say of Brahman is bliss, more than consciousness, because in the Taittiriya, last is Anandamaya Kosha. And the bedrock of this Anandamaya Kosha itself is Brahman. One does not have to, I consciousness, one has to go within that to find God. Mind is Atman, one has to go within that to find God. But Ananda is Brahman, one does not have to go within that, one has to only check out the Adhar of that feeling. So, nearest is bliss. From this, Swami Vivekananda has found a definition of religion. He says, the more a man's joy is inside, the more religious or spiritual he is, in degrees. Example from the world, which people generally know. Suppose the husband of a young girl has come to his father-in-law's house, that means that girl's house, and is seated in the drawing room with other young men of his age. That husband is sitting with other young men of his age. The girl and her friends are looking at them through the window. That was the custom in those days. They would not sit with men. Her friends do not know her husband and ask her, pointing to one young man, is that your husband? No, she answers, smiling. They point to another young man and ask if he is her husband. Again, she answers, no. They repeat the question, referring to a third, and she gives the same answer. At last, they point to her husband and ask, is he the one? She says neither yes nor no, but only smiles and keeps quiet. This all is old Indian culture. That simile belongs to old Indian culture. Modern times she will herself sit there or she will point out. At, at last, she said, her friends realize that he is her husband. Neti Neti, one thing cannot be removed, so that is like the husband remaining. One becomes silent on realizing the true nature of Brahman. And because she kept quiet, so this is a simile. Always, it also for if one realizes his body drops out, he remains silent. To him, now with this, Thakur has realized and he is not silent. So he is asking Master whether he has understood this or not. To him, well, why do I talk so much? In the Bengali, the word is boki. Boki can be loose talk, boki can be unnecessary talk. So, Gliver, something. M. But M has understood. He has heard from Thakur beforehand. You talk in order to awaken the spiritual consciousness of the devotees. You once said that when an uncooked luchi is dropped into boiling ghee, it makes a sizzling noise. Ghee you boil, it sizzles. When it comes to boiling point, it does not sizzle. But a raw bread, luchi, made of maida, is dropped into it. It has to bake that, and so it sizzles again. So to convey knowledge to others, the man of realization talks. The master began to talk to M about Hazra. So that topic is over. Now Hazra we have understood many times. So we read, Master, do you know the nature of a good man? He never troubles others. He doesn't harass people. The nature of some people is such that when they go to a feast, they want special seats. A man who has true devotion to God never makes a false step, never gives others trouble for nothing. And that is in reference to Hazra. Yes, sir. The mind sinks far down in the company of the wicked. So, in the company of the wicked, the mind goes down. Further, he is adding. But it is quite different with a hero, as you say. He is not affected by the bad company. That is called the hero. Master, how is that? M. When a fire is feeble, it goes out when even a small stick is thrown into it. But a blazing fire is not affected, even if a plantain tree is thrown into it. The tree itself is burned to ashes. The master asked them about his friend Hari Babu. Now that man is sitting, so Thakur asked Master Mahashaya, because Hari Babu is a unknown person. M. He has come here to pay you his respects. So Master Mahashaya might have told about greatness of Thakur, he has come to pay respects. He lost his wife long ago. Master to Hari, what kind of work do you do? M. Nothing in because he has come to pay respect, then he is taking care of him. Nothing in particular. M is telling nothing in particular. But at home, he takes good care of his parents and his brothers and sisters. So that is his occupation. He is not doing any work to earn money, but he is taking care of his people. Master with a smile. How is that? You are like elderly pumpkin cutter. That is the Bengali usage. women do not cut pumpkin there. If they find an elderly man not busy in anything, they invite him and please cut this pumpkin. Then they will cut it further. But the original pumpkin to be cut, the women do not do. It is some symbolic expression. Maybe like destruction of a womb. How is that? You are like elderly pumpkin cutter. You are neither a man of the world nor a devotee of God. You are not married, so you are not man of the world. And you have so much time. You have no wife. So why don't you think of God? That is not good. You must have seen the sort of elderly man who lives in a family and is always ready day and night to entertain the children because he is taking care of his. Hmm? Brothers and sisters, parent brothers and sisters. They might be younger to him. You must have seen the sort of elderly man who lives in a family. I think it is Kudo or Budo. Bado Thakur. Kumdo Kata Bado Thakur. Bado Thakur is actually the elder brother of the chief of the family. He sits in the parlor and smokes the abal bubble. With nothing in particular to do, he leads a lazy life. Now and again he goes to the inner court where ladies stay and cuts a pumpkin, for since women do not cut pumpkin, they send the children to ask him to come and do it. That is the extent of his usefulness. Hence his nickname Elder the Pumpkin Cutter. You must do this as well as that. Do your duties in the world and also fix your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Fix your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Read books of devotion like the Bhagavata or the life of Chaitanya when you are alone and have nothing else to do, then you do this. If you are busy with some work, it is all right, but you must keep your mind on lotus feet of the Lord. In practical life, you must read books like Bhagavad and Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was about 10 o'clock. From 8 to 10, these things have happened. Sri Ramakrishna finished a light supper of farina pudding. Sujir payas. ठाकुरे घरे फिरिया आसिया. Oh, in Bengali there are some in between lines. The Kali temple was not yet closed. Master Masha went to visit that temple, talked with Ram Chatterjee, went to Radhakanta's temple and saluted in the mother's temple. The moon has come up. The top of the temple and everything was looking beautiful. Then he came back to Thakur's room and saw that Thakur is sitting for food, facing south. What he was taking? Sujir payas, or duye khani luchi. One or two luchi were understood from maida. A small roti is made and fried. That is luchi. And Farina is suji. Suji is the wheat crushed into little bigger pieces than the flour. That is suji. That is farina. Light supper of farina pudding and one or two luchis. After saluting him, M and his friend took their leave. So now there is a little jump and we shift to Friday, September 7, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna and M were talking in the master's room at 7:30 in the evening. No one else was present. The heading of the chapter itself is Master and M. Master, the other day I went to Calcutta. As I drove along the streets in the carriage, I observed that everyone's attention was fixed on low things. Everyone was brooding over his stomach and running after nothing but food. Everyone's mind was turned to woman and gold. I saw only one or two with their attention fixed on higher things, with their minds turned to God. So, common people and rare people. M. The present age has aggravated his stomach's worry. Trying to imitate the English, people have turned their attention to more luxuries, therefore their wants have also increased. Master, what do the English think about God? So that is what he wanted to check. If they are only doing luxuries, M. They believe in a formless God. Master, that is also one of our beliefs. So our means Hinduism. Hinduism includes Nirakarvadi. It is not something strange or they have taught us. For a time, master and disciple remained silent. Then Sri Ramakrishna began to describe his experience of Brahman. So master's consciousness will rise. Master, one day had the vision of consciousness, non-dual and indivisible, akhanda ekameva dvitiyam. At first it had been revealed to me that there were innumerable men, animals and other creatures. Among them there were aristocrats, the English, the Muslims, myself, scavengers, dogs, and also a bearded Muslim with an earthenware tray of rice in his hand. He put a few grains of rice into everybody's mouth. I too tasted a little. Now, this is some vision, as Thakur says. So, universal brotherhood is what the Muslims practice, and that Thakur has seen and appreciated. The Muslims, elderly, different caste, when they take food, they take from a common thali, sitting around it. And that is one of their symbols that they practice universal brotherhood. And that is what Thakur is seeing in this vision. Another day I saw rice, vegetables and other foodstuff and filth and dirt as well lying around. Everything made of matter is lying around. Suddenly the soul came out of my body, Sukshma Sharir, Antakar, and like a flame touched everything. It was like a protruding tongue of fire and tasted everything once, even the excreta. That is the Tantra sadhana. All are made of matter, all are manifestations of Brahman. There is no distinction. It is the man of realization only who can do like that. It is not a practice, it is the nature of Brahmatma. For a sadhak, it may be a practice. It was revealed to me that all these are one substance, the non-dual and indivisible consciousness, appearing as jada matter, appearing as food, appearing as filth. Another day, it was some Ashtama says Nirakar should reach Nirgun, and these are the qualities. Another day, it was revealed to me that I had devotees, my intimate companions, my very own. This was much before the devotees came to him. Therefore, I would climb to the roof of the kuti as soon as the bells and the conch shells of the evening services sounded in the temple and cry out with a longing heart, "Oh, where are you all? Come here, I am dying to see you." So, it was revealed to him that people who are his very own will come to him. It was revealed to him much in advance of their actual coming. It was actually during Mathur Babu's presence, and all the devotees came after Mathur Babu's passing away. So, Kuti means when the proprietors of the temple, Rani or Mathur or other people, used to visit Dakshineshwar temple for their stay. A separate building was there at the entry point from where one goes inside the courtyard of the temple. And Thakur was free to go there. So the rooftop of that kuti, because it is a higher point than any other place, Navath accepted. So he used to go there and cry and shout due to anguish. The same anguish by which, remember this is an important thing, the same anguish by which he cried on the same place when he had not realized God. Same place he is going again to call for those who have been shown to him. What does it mean? The eagerness to realize God becomes transmitted into eagerness to make others realize God, because there are no others. Because in this body, if God is realized, why not in that body? Especially, all cannot do that, but especially if people of his own. So that is the meaning. The universality of consciousness makes a man feel that if God has been realized in this body, that body also is mine. And that is not possible for everyone to realize God also is a fact. Though Ishwar is potentially divine, some people cannot realize in this life. So those who can realize will come to him. And so it is like this body, that body of mine. And so the same eagerness becomes transmitted in this fashion. It is a combination of two elements. All cannot realize, few can realize. One point. And they are his very own. And the same eagerness is transmitted universally, but in the people in which it is possible. I am dying to see you, to M. Well, what do you think of these visions? So checking with him how far he has understood. M. God sports through you. This I have realized, that you are the instrument and God is the master. God has created other beings as if with a machine, but yourself with his own hands. That is Master's M's description. He has not yet realized that he is God himself, but this much. Master, well, Hazara says that after the vision of God, one acquires the six divine powers. Hazara was bent upon powers because he was interested in the worldly luxury, worldly money. So he is putting it before the Master Masha, how he has analyzed that continuously. Master Masha is alone and Thakur is checking again and again his understanding because he is going to propagate it. If those who seek pure love don't want powers. Power, I can gain something in the world, but love, I want for God. So why do I want powers? Master, perhaps Agra was a pure man in his previous life, and that is why he wants so much to see the manifestation of power. So, the explanation. He wants to know what I talk about with the cook. He says to me, you don't have to talk to the cook. I shall talk to the manager of the temple myself and see that you get everything you want. In Thakur, there is absolutely no high and low. If you want something from the cook, you will tell it to the cook. But Hazara feels rank. Hazara says, I will talk to the manager. The manager will arrange it through. Thakur is telling this to show that he himself has absolutely no low and high. M. Many a time you have said that a devotee who loves God for the sake of love does not care to see God's powers. God also supreme power, but I want to love God because God is all love. I don't care for the power. A true devotee wants to see God as Gopala, child Krishna, no power. In the beginning, God becomes the magnet and the devotee the needle. But in the end, the devotee himself becomes the magnet and God the needle. That is to say, God becomes small to his devotees. That means no power seeking. In that case, Master Masha used this. Actually, it means the other also. God loves his children. God wants to go to them. That is when the devotees are pure love. And the other meaning which Master Masha is deriving is that God is not bigger than the devotee. Devotee does not seek anything from him. He is loving him like a mother loves the child. Master, he has accepted this. Yes, it is just like the sun at dawn. You can easily look at that sun. It doesn't dazzle the eyes, rather, it satisfies them. Power is not seen. God becomes tender for the sake of his devotees. He appears before them, setting aside his powers. In the Ishopanishad last shloka, Pushan Ekarshe, Vyuha Rashmin, Samuha Tejan, I want to see your reality. Please remove your glory, glamour, that glamorous disk. So, if one wants to love God, for God becomes tender. Both remain silent for some time. So, this thought makes them quiet. M. Why should your visions not be real? Now he is giving reply. Why should your visions not be real? If they are unreal, then the world is still more unreal. This is another important point to understand. Vedantis may say everything is unreal other than one reality. But there is order of reality. The world is unreal. If you are gone higher, then that is more real. If you have gone to the highest, that is fully real. It does not mean that everything in between should be called unreal. It may be unreal compared to the ultimate reality, but compared to our today's experience, it is definitely more real. So much has understood many things by now. For there is only one mind, that is the instrument of perception. So mind has changed its level. Your pure mind sees those visions and our ordinary mind see worldly objects. Master, I see that we have grasped the idea of unreality. Well, tell me what you think of Hazara, the topic come back. M. Oh, I don't know. The master laughs. Master, well, do you find me to be like anybody else? Hazara, he does not want to comment, but Thakur's uniqueness, Thakur wants whether Master Maharaj has understood or not. And in one place, Master Maharaj has already said, other things God made by machine, you made by his hand. M. Well, do you find me to be like anybody else? M. No, sir. Master, like any other Paramahansa, because a group, Thakur is called Paramahansa. So he is like other Paramahansas. Uniqueness of Thakur, whether Master Maharaj has understood or not. So ordinary people, no. Paramahansas, no, sir. You can't be compared to anybody else. Master smiling. Have you heard of a tree called the Achina? Achina means unrecognized. That is a Bengali word put in English because English has no equivalent for that. It means that a tree unrecognized. No, sir. That simile he did not know. Master said there is a tree called by that name, but nobody knows what it is. Likewise, it is not possible to recognize you. So he appreciated that simile. The more a man understands you, the more uplifted he will be. Avatara Yoga in the Gita 4th chapter. Janma karma च में दिव्यम एवं यो वेत्ति तत्वता त्यक्त्वा देहम पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोर्जुन वीतराग भय क्रोधा मन्मया मामुपाश्रिता बहवो ज्ञान तपसा पूता मद्भावम आगता. So they will rise, they will drop their raga bhaya krodha, they will get more and more support in God. Ultimately, they will get God's nature. This very thing in the great master Sardan Swamiji has said that Thakur's small actions, small words, all the avataras, if one handles them, weighs them, he will rise higher and higher than this mundane world, ultimately reaching the goal of life. M was silent. He said to himself. So now he is introspecting. The master referred to the sun at dawn and the tree unrecognizable by man. Did he mean an incarnation of God? So up till now that point has not directly come. It is coming in master's mind like a reflection. Is this the play of God through man? Is the master himself an incarnation? Was this why he cried to the devotees from the roof of the kuti? Where are you? Come to me. So all this depends upon Thakur being incarnation, of which Master Maharaj's mind is getting hints up till now. Now, same date, বেলা একটা দুটো হইবে 9th September. Date has changed here. Huh? In English, it is not mentioned. This date we were studying was September 7. Now he is talking of September 9. Please insert the date in your books if it is English. And we stop here. On Monday, we shall resume this September 9. Okay. Om तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री रामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।